Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
You only get one chance at that first impression. Hi, I'm Anita Joyce here with Kelly Wilkness, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. And today's episode is Decorate Like a Pro Entry Edition. And boy, we do not want to miss out on decorating that entry. It's very important that we hit it just right because that's where we're going to make our first impression.
Absolutely true. And because it's sort of a pass-through room, obviously, it's not a real destination room, sometimes people overlook it, or clutter begins to gather, or you didn't move out that seasonal item, but yet the seasons have moved on. So we're going to cover a lot of things today. We're going to give you some ways to make it very functional, but also to add some really super wow decorating punches that will really make your entry make a wonderful first impression and a lasting impression, not only on your guests, but for yourself as well, right? Because you're the one coming in and going out. And if you come in and out your front door or even your back door, you're the one that's seeing it every day. So it should be beautiful and special for you and your family.
I agree with you. I think this is kind of a place that a lot of people, I wouldn't say don't decorate, but they kind of leave for last. I think that kitchen and the living room, that's where people start because that's where they're hanging out. And so it's easy to say, oh, the entry, you can't really put much in there. But this is the place where you're making that first impression, and this is the place where you're setting the tone. So this really is a place where you can put a little effort in, and this is going to be what people remember about your house.
Not only can it set the tone for your home, it can also give you a little peace when you come in. I mean, maybe you've only been on the other side of your entry for 18 months now, and you haven't gone out into the world, but we'll be going back out into the world and then coming back into our homes. And wouldn't it be lovely to walk into your home and have a place to put your keys or your dog leash or your coat or your flip-flops, whatever it is, and to look around and have it feel welcoming and beautiful, and to give you some peace. I love decorating my entry, and I love walking up my steps because I have that big glass window, which at first I thought, oh no, this is terrible. I'm going to have to figure out a way to cover this round window, but I've grown to love it. I just don't, I don't walk around in a towel on the first floor anyway, so because I would get to know my neighbors or they'd get to know me way too well. But when I walk up, I can see into my entryway. And I actually have a photo, and I can stick that photo in Vodacast, and we'll get back to that if anybody hasn't heard about Vodacast in a second, but I will pop it into Vodacast so you can see what I see when I walk up my front steps. I can see into my entry. I can even see into my dining room a little bit. And I love to see not only my furniture, but my light fixture and the seasonal vignette that I may have on the table. And it just sets the tone for me, and it says, welcome home, Kelly. And that's what we want your entry to do for you and your family.
This is another room in your house. Don't ignore it. It deserves attention, and to furnish it in a lot of ways like any other room in your house. The difference is going to be that this is, like you said, Kelly, a transitional room. This is a room where you're just moving through. And it's not going to be large in most cases. So it's really going to be minimal what you can put in there as far as seating or storage in there. But I think definitely try to furnish it like you would any other room. And also, I think this is a place where if you want to add some punch, this is where you can do it. You want to add some wow in your house? I think this is a great place to do that.
Agreed. Almost like a powder room. Usually, you're not going to have a gigantic entryway. I mean, my dream entryway, and I was thinking, what is the difference between entry and foyer? Is there a difference? Foyer just seems bigger and grander.
Well, and then there's the foyer. That's even bigger.
Oh, yay. Yes, I think that's what I need. But I dream of a foyer with a brown pedestal table with an absolutely gigantic vase with a tremendously large, lush floral arrangement in it and a stack of books and some beautiful things. I'm probably never going to have that because I think I'm going to be the old lady in Pasadena or from Pasadena, whatever that song was. I think I'm going to be in this house for a long time. So I don't think I'm ever going to have a giant entry like that. Mm-hmm. But the point being is when you take the tips from today, so you don't have to have a giant space. You can take the ideas and do it on a smaller scale. If you can't fit a table, well, then maybe you can just fit a tiny little shelf or floating shelf, or like we talked about those shelves created with the corbels like Anita did in her hallway. There's going to be a smaller version of what we're talking about today. And we are going to give some ideas for actual small solutions for a tiny entry.
Talking about punch, I'm thinking what you said, I'm just thinking about what you said about these small little foyers. When you have a small foyer or a small entryway, then whatever you do isn't going to take as much time or be as expensive. For example, if you put in wallpaper, it's a much smaller area than if you did your living room. So this is a place where you can do something really fun like a beautiful wallpaper. Or let's say you wanted to add really a very strong pop of color, but you're nervous about painting an entire room in some really bold color. Well, what about doing it in your foyer? And then it's not as big an area, and it's just that one area, but it's open to a lot of other rooms, so it's not as scary, I think, in my mind. The thing you need to keep in mind if you do that is to be sure that whatever color you put in there, whatever wallpaper you put in there, is not going to clash with anything in the other rooms. So you just want it to work with it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to repeat that color, but it just has to work with the rooms coming off of that entryway.
You can start with the flow that we always talk about in the foyer. As Anita said, you can saturate it. Say you had a pale pink or a blushy kind of color that you have floating through your home in different areas, and you're kind of carrying that as your accent color around. Well, in the entryway, you could really make it super saturated pink. You know, that's super over the top. I have a picture of an amazing entryway that was done in this lipstick pink with these French antiques. Anita, you're going to go crazy for this. So I'll pop that into that podcast as well. My. Right, because you just have to see this one to believe it. So we're talking about the pops. I also have some essentials that I want to talk about in an entry. But since Anita kicked us off with the pops, that is such a fun place to go. So let's think about that. What could you do in there? A daring color, like Anita mentioned. A wallpaper. Maybe that's a great place for this removable adhesive type wallpaper because, again, it's not a big space. You could do it yourself. Shouldn't be that hard. How about a really dramatic chandelier? Not just one little bulb in some little flush mount. Not a boob light or any cousin of a boob light. Have something, if you have some height, have something dangle down. Have something that at least has 4 different bulbs in it. And definitely you could go over the top with a mirror, whatever your style is. Something really interesting.
Yeah, so while you're talking about over the top, I was also imagining perhaps an oversized mirror or an oversized piece of artwork. This is a great place, again, to add some wow. So maybe an 8x10 might be interesting, but if you had some piece of artwork that's maybe 4 feet tall, then you're not going to miss that. And especially if it's full of color, I think this is a great place to add some beautiful, large-scale artwork, if it will fit.
Also, how about some bold fabric? Sure, you don't have a lot of room for fabric in an entry, so where can you add some fabric? Well, if you've got a bench is nice to have in an entryway for someone to sit down and put their shoes on, whatnot. Even if it's just a wooden bench, maybe you have a cushion made for it. You do a really cool, bold fabric. And if you have a bench or something like that, you put a cushion and then maybe put some toss pillows, something like that. If you only have room for a tiny little poof to sit on or something like that, maybe you get in a really bright color or it's like a saturated velvet or something like that. And how about a statement rug? I think a statement rug could be fabulous in an entryway. It makes sense. to have a rug there, as long as it's not, something that you could slip on. So maybe something that has either takes a rug pad or has the bottom on it. And if you can, something that can be either washed like a ruggable or something that can be hosed off, because maybe people are going to come in with their shoes on. I hope they don't, but if they do, you'll be ready.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I have a few specific items that I found as well.
Oh, good.
Because I'm thinking like you, we need a console table in there if it will fit. It's so nice to have something there to put a lamp on. You can set your purse on it, your keys on. And like you said, if you don't have room for this, then you can go with a shelf on the wall. But I love the idea if you have room for a console table. I found one that's the Aleika on the Jocelyn Main site, and it is 63 inches wide, but it's not very deep. And this one is a beautiful brass. It's a very simple, thin legs. But it's a very elegant, simple design of these brass or gold legs and a glass top. And this would just be so beautiful. And it also has some stretcher bars at the bottom. It would be so beautiful in an entryway. And I see, like you talked about, a very bold wallpaper behind it. You'll be able to see right through it, or a very bold color on the wall.
That sounds so pretty. And I'm thinking even that console table that I got from Target. Remember that one I talked about? Really simple again. You jogged my memory about it because you were saying those simple metal lines, but mine is mirrored on the top. But the beauty of that one, it's only 8 inches wide. And I needed that behind my sofa because I didn't have a lot of room for the sofa to be pulled out, but I wanted something behind it. So if you were a really slim entryway, 8 inches, just someplace to set something down. And then you would get the mirrored effect as well.
Oh, I love that idea. And that's the nice thing about a very simple console, is that you really don't focus on the console, but you can focus on the wall behind it if you have something really beautiful with some beautiful woodwork or a beautiful color on the wall. Another thing that we talked about that I think is beautiful in your foyer, and that is a mirror. I think we all like the idea of a mirror. Most foyers do have a mirror in them. And I do love the idea of an oversized mirror, or just like you said, Kelly, one that just has a pop, a very unique look to it. I don't want to see a mirror that everyone has. I'm looking for something very different and fun. So I found one that is round, and I love round mirrors for some reason. I have no idea why. But this one has little wood balls, and it's all painted gray, but little balls all the way around the circular mirror. So it almost looks like pom-poms all the way around. And it's very unique and very pretty. And I think it just adds just a very interesting feeling to the room.
Oh, wow. I've never seen a mirror like that, but I do love round too. And, I think the thing about adding a round mirror is that in decor, in our homes, we have a lot of 90-degree angles or square or rectangularly shaped things. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have a round coffee table, but mostly rugs are usually squares or rectangles. Occasionally you'll see a rug, but a round mirror is easy to add in, and it's this sort of organic shape. So I think an entryway would be a great place to add in a round mirror. That one from Walmart, if they still have it, I'll put that in the show notes. It is so reasonably priced because, round mirrors were really hot for a while, and I think they still are. So you could find them for $500-$600, or you could find this one. I think it was like $79 the last time I purchased it.
Great price.
And I have a couple of them. I actually have one in my closet, and I have one out in the barn. So I think I have 2 or 3 of those. Really great price. Yeah, but I'm going to move them around. I'm going to find a new home. I'm going to unite them and maybe use them somewhere else. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But in an entryway, a round mirror would be terrific. Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com.
So the next item I have is a runner, a rug that's a runner, and this one is really beautiful. It is wool, and it's blue and white. It's a flat woven rug, and it's got a geometric pattern to it. So I think this one's really beautiful. It's the Gillespie Geometric, and I'm going to be adding, of course, a link to that so you can see it. But, of course, that one comes in many different sizes, and you would choose the one that works for your house.
The great thing about a runner is that it's usually so much less expensive than the full-sized rugs. So if you can get away with a runner, which makes sense in an entryway, because oftentimes they're long rather than being squared off. So go for the runner. Save some money and get the pop.
Absolutely. And what a great way to add color to your room is to use a runner. You don't have to add it there, but it's an easy place to add it, especially if you've gone neutral on the walls. I like adding a rug with some color.
Can I jump in here for 1 second to riff off that?
Yeah.
A lot of times people's entries abut their staircase to the second floor, right? So you walk in, you may be in a little entry, and staircase is either right in front of you. I had that in my last house, or it's a little off to the side. So I'll harken back to something we discussed a couple of episodes ago. If your staircase has carpeting on and it doesn't look so great, maybe you want to take that off and either paint your stairs or think about a different kind of runner, because that will really be part of your entry if you can see it, right? So you want to continue the look going up the stairs then. And maybe the easiest way to do that is just to take that off if it's kind of seen better days and go with a good paint job.
What a great idea. And again, the stairs, it's not as big as a whole big room, so just converting the stairs is probably not as expensive as putting in a wood floor in an entire living room. And sometimes you just need the carpet ripped up, and a lot of times there's wood underneath. So that would be fun. If you have carpet, to see what's under there. Might be a little scary, though. But I do agree that can mess up the look of that beautiful foyer if there's some not so nice carpet on the stairs. I like to have an umbrella stand in the foyer. I found one that is a blue and white chinoiserie, shall I say it?
Oh, well said.
well, I guess I'm calling it chinoiserie. It's blue and white, but it's actually florals. But it's a, ceramic umbrella stand, and that is really pretty. I think that would be very nice to have. I actually have an antique French floral vase, like a florist would have.
Yeah, those are great.
That's what I have my umbrellas in, but those are a little hard to find. So this would be a beautiful option. And I have one other specific item, one last one to include, and that's the Edlin bench. This is a raspberry velvet with brass feet, and they're calling it a modern Italian shape. So it's kind of a modern style. It's not really traditional. So it has those straight kind of gold or brass legs on it. I really love that silhouette though, and velvet is just something I am crazy about. So this, if you had room for it, I think would be a beautiful place to have a nice little bench. This one doesn't have a back to it. So again, if you're short on room, then sometimes these are a kind of a long ottoman is a better thing to do, or a bench rather than a chair with a back. Sometimes you can get away with something. Sometimes these are a little more narrow. But I think this would be a great place if you have a place for it to sit and then take your shoes off, set your purse down. It is nice to have some seating in your entryway if you have room.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see that, because that really ticks all the boxes of what we're saying about doing something in entry. It's functional. You've got a place to sit. It's totally wow with that color. It's pretty slim lines, so it should fit. And it's just like a wow moment. I love it. Definitely going to check that out. Let me go back to the umbrella stand. I love the idea of having things in your entry that serve a purpose, but are also beautiful. So that item clearly does that. The thing that you don't want to do is, if you have to have hooks or things like that, but you don't have a closet. I'm closet challenged, so I don't have a closet in my entry. And so if things have to be out, that's okay. If your kids have backpacks and that's where they go, that's okay. Or you want to hang your jean jacket or something like that, or your scarf or whatever. But don't let things linger there out of the season. You can make a hook look like almost a display, even though it's your sort of everyday coming and going things. But if you're walking in July and there's a woolly scarf hanging there, that's just a big bummer, right? And what does that say? It's like, well, we don't care, or we didn't notice that was there, Just take it away. When you're not using the items, don't let them gather there. Don't let 12 pairs of shoes just land in your entryway. If you're not wearing them, put them someplace else. Get a basket with a lid. Make sure they go in there. I am constantly picking up Converse sneakers and putting them into the little cabinet that we have in the entryway. I was able to fit in a tall but very slim cabinet that I got at that Restoration Hardware epic warehouse sale that I went to before we moved in. And it was the wrong color, but I just had the painters painted the color of the entryway. So you see it, but it doesn't pop out at you because it's the same color as the wall. And it's got a bunch of shelves, probably got like 6 or 8 shelves. And it's a perfect place for people to put their shoes, kind of where the reusable grocery bags go before they get back into the car. So it's some place to hide things away, but things that need to be in the entryway. So even if you have a tiny little entryway, there's probably some really good looking storage option that you can include there so you can squirrel away this stuff.
I love that idea. And the exception to the rule, I think, with hiding the shoes is if you have some really cute hunter boots. I leave
mine are in my entryway. Yeah,
I leave them out there. I think they're really cute, so I leave them by the umbrella stand. But yeah, if they were my farm boots, I don't leave those muddy things. I don't leave them by the front door.
Let's just run through what we think the essentials are. So I'll say what I think the entryway essentials are, and then if Anita wants to add stuff, she can add. So I think some sort of horizontal surface. If you can get a table in or a console, if it's got a drawer, fantastic, because you can put the keys in there, you can put the dog leashes, stuff that you might need for coming and going right in there. A mirror for sure. A lamp, if you can get a lamp in on that table or console, that is wonderful, because what a cozy way to come home or leave a little nightlight on for yourself, and rather than having overhead all the time. But if you can't fit that, maybe a sconce. Maybe somehow you can work a sconce on either side of the mirror. Even if it's the ones that are not hardwired, you can have them plug into an outlet below. That could definitely add some nice ambiance. But if you're doing an overhead light, then make it big enough. Make it really illuminate the area and make it interesting. A little place to sit, whether it's just a little perch. You could even do some sort of like, we're talking about creating a shelf with corbels for a console. Well, you could create a little perch too. Just make it lower. Just really try to think the best use of every square inch in your entryway. A rug, I think, is essential. I think that covers it for me as far as true essentials for the entryway. Do you want to add anything, Anita?
I think you did a great job of covering all of that. And I was just thinking about how I have no room in my front entryway, but we usually come and go out the back door. And I don't have an entry, obviously, on the back of the house, but I've put I think of those folding trays, like a TV tray. I kind of have something like that, only it's nicer looking because it's mahogany and everything. But I have that by the back door, and that has been such a nice catch-all to put my purse on, to set a bag down if I'm carrying a grocery bag or something. So I think there's a lot of things you can do if you don't have room for something big. You can usually go with something small, or if you don't even have an entryway, you can still put something by that front door, some hooks on the wall or something to make it usable, even if you don't actually have an entryway.
Right, and stepping outside just for a second, the whole experience of your home starts outside. So this is not a curb appeal episode, so I won't go too deep into that, but if you've got something right by your front door, something pretty, some flowering plants, a little, maybe an interesting catch-all for your mail and a basket or something like that, or even just simply a nice mat, that is all giving signals to what's to come in your home. And particularly if you're very small entry, that might be a place where you can add an item. Maybe you put a small table outside your door. And, I could definitely see, especially living in a place where we don't get a ton of different kinds of weather, putting maybe a grocery bag down on something right outside my door, opening the door and then coming in. There are ways to make it work on either side of the front door.
I think that's a great idea. I love that. And kind of think of that as an extension of the foyer, as an entry to the foyer.
Yeah, an entry to the entry, the pre-entry.
Right, a pre-entry, I guess. Are you ready for the DTT definition?
I love it. So I think we decided to call this DTT Defines. And I'm loving this. So you guys let us know if you like this. And if you have any decor words that you're not sure about, shoot us an email and we'll put them on the list. Okay.
So the term for today is CERUSED, as in CERUSED wood. CERUSED. So cherusing, I found out I had not known this before, but it's actually something that they started doing to deter wood-boring insects. So they would kind of press in this caustic paste of slacked lime, and they would rub it into the open grain of the wood. And that started in the 16th century in Europe.
Wow. So what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention?
Well, and it was not for decorative purposes originally, apparently. It was to keep these insects out of the wood. So they thought that this would be...
but they invented this new finish because they needed to get the bugs.
Right. Well, then it became the look and what this is. And now we actually use tinted wax. But right, so what they would do is push this lime into the wood, so you would have the dark wood and the white lime. And so the cherusing talks about, or it refers to the dark of the wood with the white wax kind of pushed in the grain. So that's what it's referring to. Nowadays, the cherusing is done with liming wax, which is a white tinted wax. Now, you can use any color wax for cherusing, but the traditional color is the white wax. And the interesting thing to think about when you're doing this, or I should say the important thing to keep in mind, is that if you have a piece of wood that has a lacquer finish on it or a polyurethane coat, something like that, that's going to be impervious to water, then you're not going to be able to ceruse it. You need to be able to access and get inside the grain. So you want really more unfinished wood, or maybe stained wood, but wood that hasn't been treated beyond just a stain.
So interesting. I considered for a short moment a cerused floor when we were in the house.
Wow. That would be awesome. But I didn't
go that way. I'm glad I didn't. I think it would have been not right for this house, but I could think of applications for that for sure.
Maybe a smaller piece. So if you are going to ceruse something, it really works well with a very open grain like oak or mahogany. So that's something else to keep in mind. But it can be done. And our friend Amy Howard that we had on has liming wax, and I'm sure she has plenty of videos that will show you how to use it.
Yeah. I think of when you see a piece of cerused furniture, you can almost like feel the grain. It doesn't,
right.
The wood doesn't feel smooth. If it's super smooth, probably not going to take it. It's not going to make any difference. It's got to be able to get into those grooves, right?
Exactly. And you know what I'm talking about. Some of the vintage wood that you pick up, it's got polyurethane on it. You can't ceruse that wood.
Right. Wow. Great term. We are all going to be so smart. Gosh.
I've
fun.
Learned
I
love
these. Yes, I love it too.
Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh, so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. You know, we're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about. Visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
And I also love our crushes, and we know you do too. So my crush today is sort of two things. It's a concept and a podcast. So I listened to a podcast that I listen to a lot, and they interviewed a woman, Dr. Lori Santos. She's a professor. She's not a medical doctor, but she's a professor at Yale, and she teaches a class there on happiness. And then, as people do, Anita, she began a podcast called The Happiness Lab. The whole point of Dr. Lori's work is the science of happiness. Now, I'm, I think, a very happy person, and I have very good reason to be happy, and I'm grateful and all of that. But there's something to be learned about how you can be happier, or what makes you happy. I like learning the science behind things. And what really struck me about her, and here's where the concept comes in, one of the things that makes people very happy is having the affluence of time. So don't you love that, Anita? So
that's very interesting.
You're very interesting, right? So you are wealthy in time. Now, that doesn't mean you're laying around binge watching, but I guess if you had to do that once in a while, you could. But that you make time not only for yourself, but also to be with, not necessarily serving, as a lot of us do, the people we love, right? Whether it's be our kids or our family members and whatnot, but actually spending time with them, what they might call quality time. That term just really stuck with me, the affluence of time.
Is she saying the more time you have, the happier you are? The more free time, the happier
that you have time that you make for yourself, or you learn to say no to things that are not really supporting you or what you want to do or where you're going, or it will just be a strain on you. So where she feels that she has affluence of time is she makes time to do her yoga, and then she makes time to call her best friend, rather than having that all pushed to the end of the day and then there's just never time for it. She carves out specific time for it, and she kind of stops the madness when she needs to, so she can protect her affluence of time.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
Right. And it's not just spending your time wisely, like, oh, I'm going to get all through my to-do list. It's specifically feeling like you've made time for yourself and to spend time with the people that you love. So I think you'd really be interested to listen to her speak. She's a very smart lady. So I'll put the links to all those things that I mentioned about her in the show notes. What's your crush?
It's kind of functional. It's an office chair. I was looking for something very functional to have because now we're working from home a lot. So we have a nice leather chair, but you know, those leather ones aren't always as functional as you need them to be, if you know what I mean. You know, like, because we have an old leather one that I love to sit in, but it's not adjustable. It doesn't have movable
ergonomic.
armrests. Right. So we needed something more like that. So for that sort of thing, I thought this was pretty nice looking. I wouldn't say it's pretty, but for that sort of thing, I think this was one of the best looking chairs I found. It's actually white and blue, and a lot of them are black, and honestly, some of these chairs look like wheelchairs.
They do. Peter could really use ergonomically designed chair because he's at his desk for so many hours. But I have him on this velvet chair because those chairs are so ugly. He doesn't mind. He'll probably be all hunched over, and I'll be very sad that happens. But I always tell him, sit up straight. Sit up straight. Maybe if I got him a better chair, he could sit up straight. So maybe this chair, but I don't do blue, so I can't even have your chair.
But they have other colors. But that was, but the white even. I thought the white looked so much better than the black. They're just, the black ones, I just can't even look at them anymore. Yeah. Some of them are so unattractive. But yeah, I mean, if you're using this as a 15-hour-a-day chair that you're having to sit in, it needs to be ergonomic. So yes, I'd rather have a velvet chair or a leather chair or something. But anyway, this one has some breathable mesh and whatever. So anyway, I'll include the link. I thought for a functional chair, it was not bad looking.
Good, yes, because that category, like the tissue boxes and the other things we discussed, really somebody could do a better job. If we had more time, we could do all of this. But alas, we've got to work on our podcast and be with our listeners, so we don't have time to do that. So it was so much fun hanging out today. I would love to pop into all of your entries. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult. We can't wait to talk to you.